Lee, and this is my CNIT 176 project. And for my project, I chose how to do a RAID array and a web server. So this is these steps on how I did those and my results. So first we're going to talk about the RAID array. For the RAID array, what we want to do was lsblk, which will list the block devices, and that can show us what is on our flash drives and if they're free or not. Then what we want to do is fdisk/dev/sda, and this will create empty partition tables, and then that way we can write to what we have. These are us updating the Pi itself and then installing the mda-dm package. Then after that we want to create the RAID volumes themselves. So we're doing sudo mda-dm and that command, and it did not work. So what I had to do was I had to redo that command later, and then I did the rest of the commands. So we made a directory for this, and we mounted it, and then we formatted the RAID volume, and we said what we want to mount it on, and we checked that for the UID on the MD0, and that way we could repeat the command with echo and then in the quotations /dev/md0, except we replaced it with our UUID, and then we did that whole code. And I noticed here that my code was not working for some reason. And so we got to work, right, as seen here. And some issues I had to do with this was, first off, my Pi didn't work the first time around, so I had to do this twice. So because of that, I had to unmount what was already on the flash drives so that I could use them as a partition. Once that was unmounted, it was working good again until I got to the point where my inputs were messed up. So, for example, the quotation marquee was giving me the @ symbol and vice versa. So I couldn't get the correct pipe symbol at first. So I had to redo that so that we would be able to have the lost and found directory show up underneath the mount RAID 0 directory. And so this was a pretty simple project. Did take a bit longer than I had anticipated due to the weird inputs and redoing it twice. First time it went well, second time not so well. Well, excuse me, first time it went well until I rebooted it and I had to reimage it. Second time it did what it needed to do, but it took a bit longer to get there. So now let's talk about the web server. For the web server, we had to install Apache 2, and so this was us installing Apache 2, and we get this page when we look up localhost. So then we wanted to get into our var www.html directory, and we want to sudo thani index.html, and that gives us this file. Now we wanted to delete the context and put a short message in the file, so I did hello world in that file, and then it gave us this in the localhost. So next we installed PHP, and then we removed the index.html, and now we have index.php, and in that text box right here, I put in the command, which was $!PHP echo hello world, closing it off, and with that we get hello world. Now I want to point the attention, this is hello world in lowercase and this is hello world in uppercase. So next we installed MariaDB, and here we used the MariaDB and we created the data WordPress. And so we also, in here, we're granting all privileges to the WordPress. And then we flushed the privileges out and we rebooted the system. So with it being rebooted, it took a bit of time, and then once it rebooted, we'd see this in the localhost, and then we put in a bit more in the extension. And so now we could select our language that we chose. We chose English, as that is ours. And then we had to type in our data, and we got here, and then we got to the WordPress website. Now, some troubles I had with this was that since I rebooted it the first time and my RAID array was messed up, this caused my entire system to need to be reimaged. So for me in the future, I want to make sure that I was able to put this up first, which I did the second time around, and it worked successfully. I was able to prove it with these screenshots. Some other issues was the PHP file. I could not get that to load. I thought we had to run it in the file and it to work within Thonny. However, I just misread and we just had to be able to make it say hello world in the localhost, which it was able to do. Some other issues I faced were getting the WordPress to load when I was extracting it for the first time. It was because I kept messing up each command. It was a few little typos. And then at the end, I did sudo move WordPress /*, but I forgot to include the period. Second time around, include the period, and it was able to work beautifully. And that is all for my project. Thank you for listening. If you could let me know what I went wrong on in sharing and how I can make it more clear, please let me know. And thank you for watching this with me.